Hello and welcome back to the Talking Wolves podcast, and Happy New Year from all of us at Talking Wolves. Today we're joined by three wonderful guests as usual. Start with the main man as usual. Dave has a party. Dave, how have you been, mate?
Very well up until about this week. Feeling a bit sorry for myself today, so I got a Terry chocolate orange whilst we were recording. So other than that,
it's an elite chocolate.
Mate, full whammy there.
Oh,
I mean, I've had about
he's got the whole thing.
That's going to be gone by the time we start talking about the United game.
I know, and a little bit of Pepsi as per. So yeah, but other than that, all right. Thank you.
And of course, we're joined by two Talking Wolves regulars now. Tom, how's it going? And what's your favourite chocolate?
Well, I was going to say I'm quite jealous of the Terry's chocolate orange. Not going to lie, I haven't had one of them in years. Favourite chocolate is probably you've put me on the spot now. Probably Whisper, or Flake, one of them ones. Whisper. Or Flake.
Whisper's a bit of a rogue shout, isn't it? But each to their own. And Harry Mansell from the 77 Club podcast. Harry, how are you? Firstly, and most importantly, what's your favourite chocolate?
I'll go with the chocolate first. Is it? Oh my God, Moya Bueno, that one. What's that one?
What?
The Bueno one, is it? Is it called Bueno?
Kinder Bueno.
Kinder Bueno, that's the one. Yeah.
Moya Bueno.
I'm all right, Matt, but I was just saying to you when I
It's very good in Spanish.
I was just saying to you, literally, you had COVID last time I come on here, and then about a few days later after that, I got it. So like you say, everyone's had it, haven't they? This new variant. But yeah, all good now, recovered.
It's probably because after this podcast, we all come around and kiss each other. That's probably
a distinct lack of bounty shouts there, though.
I do like bounty. To be fair,
right, I do rate that.
Overhated chocolate.
What a way to out yourself as a menace to society. Anyway, moving on, chaps. We've got a very busy one. It's the first one of the year. The last one we did, I think we covered the Chelsea game last, and we meant to play Watford and Arsenal in that period, and it just never happened because, like myself and Harry, everyone else was getting COVID. So on today's podcast, we're going to be covering the Man United game, that fantastic away performance at the Theatre of Dreams. Sheffield United in the FA Cup, another astute performance from Bruno's men. We're going to talk a little bit about the Cup and where we expect us to go in that competition, and of course, the January transfer window. And we're even going to throw in a little bit of a quiz, only a small one because I'm feeling a little bit fruity, but we're going to chuck on in. But let's firstly start with that Man United game, lads. And when we first got to, and it's probably more so for Dave, because I don't think Harry or Tom went, but when we first got to United, to Manchester, and we were sat in the pub checking the team news, a couple of journalists before the teams came out had said, no Jimenez out on the pitch, no Adama, no Trincao, no Podence, no Neves, and it was like a lot of the kids, and we were thinking, fucking hell.
Yeah, the main one was Saar, wasn't it? It was like, no Jose Saar, and they're like, oh, John Ruddy at Old Trafford. But now the team come out and was like, oh, all right, okay. So yeah, full strength team, but man, we deserve that all day, every day. I mean, even United in the cup this week weren't great, but we bossed them. The fact, broke a, was it 40-year-old record, was it? Over 40 years old, the record. So
yeah.
The fact that we were able to break that, but do it so comfortably and easily. To be fair, the longer the game went on, I thought, you know what, coming here, taking a point, I would take it. But on reflection, I think 3 points was well deserved. Just every department played really, really well. When they got that free kick at the end, I know Wolves have done a bit of content on it on their TikTok this week, but that free kick at the end, I thought this would be typical Wolves and typical United to score it. But big save by Jose Saar and a well-deserved 3 points all round.
Tom, did Wolves look like a side who had 2 weeks off?
Well, they certainly looked re-energised, that was for sure. I thought we were excellent pressing off the ball. Granted, United were very poor in possession. I thought that they were very sloppy with their passes, but I thought that we made good use of it. I thought we were a lot quicker getting up the pitch. Every time we got on the ball, Neves and Moutinho was superb. I'd say it's probably their best game of the season as a pair. I thought they completely bossed midfield. They barely gave anyone else a sniff in the middle of the park, and they moved the ball really well and incisively as well, which is something that we've wanted. I thought that Semedo in particular made really good use of his inside and outside channels on the right, constantly, threading the ball through between the centre half and the full back. He was getting on the overlap. He was causing them all sorts of problems. And even Marcel looked like he could cross a ball for about 20 minutes. So there's quite a few positives, to be honest.
Yeah.
Defensively, again, just superb.
Yeah, I mean, Harry, that lad up top of United, I can't remember his name though. The one that Kilman marked out the game. How good was that back line against United? Has that been the whole season, but not just the back three, the back five as a unit? Because I think Bruno basically undone Rangnick's kind of tactical philosophy in 3 minutes, and you could see that on the pitch, couldn't you, with the wing backs bombing on?
Yeah, fantastic. And apart from obviously when they hit the bar from Fernandes, we were comfortable again. And when they saw they had Ronaldo and Cavani up front, I was worried. But as Dave and Tom have mentioned, we were so in control and so good and deserved the win. The only worry for me was putting our chances away again, but we got it in the end, thankfully. And great performance. The only two on the day I thought were a bit off it was Raul and Trincao for me. But apart from that, everyone was brilliant.
Yeah, I hear that. I understand the stick that Trincao gets, but I saw him getting quite a lot of stick after the United game, and I didn't think he played that badly. I think he retained possession well, and that's probably why he's in the side. I feel like he doesn't give you the explosiveness that Adama does, and Hwang's out, and we just look a bit more balanced with him in the side. But you are right about Jimenez, even though I think that Wolves' success in that game was Jimenez's downfall because everyone else played so well, and Jimenez had a good game, I think, but everyone else was excellent, weren't they, Dave?
Yeah, and I think, there's still a lot of people talking about this Fabio Silva thing now. He came on the pitch for like the last 10, 15 and did what he needed to do, really, work, add a bit of energy to the front line, frustrate the United, defence, hold the ball up, which I thought he did well. Jimenez didn't do much wrong. It's not like, we put 3 or 4 chances on a plate for him and he missed them all, I think he did what he needed to do as a striker, and he's done that pretty much for most of the season. I think the issue being that we've just not got the ball to him in promising enough positions. And you can blame that on, the wingers or the central midfielders if you wish. So I don't think all the blame comes down to Jimenez. But again, Fabio having a good game on Sunday. A lot of people discussing whether he should be getting the nod ahead of Raul. I think it's a little bit too early at the moment, if in my opinion. But I think, Bruno will be happy. There were talks that Fabio might go out on loan. And I think he's happy now that he has got somebody he can trust to come on for the last 10, 15, 20 minutes and cause a problem for the opposition defences.
It's nice to have someone, like you said, a striker who can bring off the bench. And we've been saying probably for the last 2 or 3 months that striker position needs addressing in January. But perhaps some solutions a little bit closer to home in Fabio Silva, who looks to have past 2 games a bit of a baptism of fire.
Yeah, I think when Lage came in, obviously there was Luis Nascimento who had previously worked with him, I think. So you kind of had an inkling there as to potentially Silva improving a lot this season. And I think obviously he hasn't played anywhere near as much as we thought he might do. He's barely got any minutes up until the past couple of games. But it looks as though he's adapted quite well to the physicality. I don't think that he looks out of place now. Well, obviously we'll talk about the Sheffield United game in a bit. But even against United, you're coming up against Varane and Phil Jones. Granted, Phil Jones hasn't played for 2 years, but they are 2 physical defenders, experienced defenders. And I think when you look at the goal that we scored, his hold-up play was crucial to that because it's what gave us the space in behind to be able to play the ball across field. So he's certainly showing the physicality to back up the intelligence that he has because he's a very, very intelligent forward. And obviously that's not something that comes up on stats and comes up on, the numbers side of things. So when you're watching it from an outside perspective, I can understand why people think that, he was a waste of money. But if you watch him, his movement is second to none. And he's very, very smart with what he does on the ball. So I think with consistent game time, yeah, he'll definitely hit the heights that I think Jimenez has. But having said that, I agree with Dave. I think it is a bit too early to suggest that he should maybe get the nod ahead of Raul. But the fact that that's even a conversation that we're having after the amount of stick that he has had over the past year and a half or so, I think is fantastic, really, because I think he deserves it. He's a very, very underrated young player, in my opinion.
Harry, how much did you kind of rate Bruno's approach to this game? I know we play with width anyway, but the fact that you come out afterwards and basically told us what the game plan was and how we implemented it from the start, how impressed with that were you?
Really impressed because the last time I was on this show, we talked about formations and us sitting back against the so-called bigger teams and it was so refreshing just to see us pretty much go for it and have control of the ball and make Man United look really average. And then his substitutions as well. Obviously, we didn't get that goal, but then he brings Traore on quite early. He brought Fabio on, as we mentioned, and it made a difference. So full credit to Bruno Lage, because it could have been one of those frustrating games where if Fernandez's goal goes in when he hits the bar, it's a completely different game, isn't it? But full credit to him, and I'm just glad we got the win, because it would have been another frustrating one, wouldn't it, if we wouldn't have put the ball in the back of the net. But tactically spot on from him, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like they said, towards the second half and the pressure started to grow a little bit, they came onto us a bit more. You kind of thinking, you take a draw here, but fallen to Martino in the box, still yet to score a goal for Wolves inside the box, similar to Neves until last season. Dave took his finisher with aplomb, and you could tell he hasn't scored for a season, because he tried to get about 5 celebrations in when he wheeled away to the
I was gonna say, I think he did the point to the sky, the grab the badge, the kiss, the wrist, the cradle, all sorts. No, I didn't think it was a strange one in the stadium. It seemed like it was one of those, a bit like Neves at Villa, when it's like crawling towards goal, which seems like it's taking ages. But yeah, looking at the replays, he sort of just got it absolutely precise and just gave De Gea no chance, sort of placing it in between the defenders. But yeah, great finish. I mean, the atmosphere at that game was great. The away end was fantastic as well. But like I said earlier, well deserved and great for Martino. Making Old Trafford his playground now. I think he scored another goal there, didn't he, a couple of years ago? So yeah, great goal. Great 3 points.
Yeah, and that link-up play between him and Neves was instrumental to that win. I don't know why Rangnick played the way they did. I mean, knowing that Wolves have got fullbacks, wing-backs that push on and create width, and then having Sancho and Greenwood playing in a two behind the front two, who aren't obviously known for the running, it just didn't make sense. And you could just see from the off that we were going to give it a good go, and a good go we gave it. So a famous win at Old Trafford for Wolves. It's been a long time coming, as we said earlier, and I'd probably say one of the best aways I've been to. Bit strange doing it sober, doing dry January, but when you win like that, you don't really need to go on the piss. But yeah, like Dave said, really good away end, and it makes that journey home a little bit sweeter knowing you've got one over on probably the biggest club in the world, if you ask me.
That's probably one of the most stress-free travels home from a big ground like that as well that I've ever had. I think, Matt. Out from Old Trafford. I know, but how quick we got back.
All the United fans have gone home already, don't they? So he's gone.
Mate, we were down in the Midlands at the services, like down Stafford, and it was full of United fans. We were there, weren't they?
We stopped at 2 services. We stopped at the one before Kiel, then Kiel, because I'd already brought some food with me because I'm dieting, and Dave wanted a Mackey's or a KFC, and ended up getting a fucking butty from WH.
I had a tikka bake from WH Smith in the end.
Wow, that's great food.
Still picking the crumbs out of me soup.
To be fair, I thought that was Bruno's first big moment. When you look back at the previous management under Nuno, we had all those moments, Bristol away, Spurs away, the Man United quarter-final, all these things that got us so attached, I think, to that period of Wolves football. I think this was the first big scalp or, memorable night of Bruno's management so far. I think, Villa first, obviously, but in terms of against a big six or the so-called big six clubs, I think this is such a huge win for Bruno as a manager in his career at Wolves, because it's one of those that we could look back on as those memories that you do forge under managers that do get you attached to managers. And that blow to the kiss, that blow kiss to the camera afterwards was just, it's brilliant, because he seems quite a reserved manager emotionally. And so just when you get those little clips of him being able to do that, it's good for social media and everything. But yeah, it was just great. It was great to see him have that moment.
He shit himself in the post-match press conference, though, didn't he? Proper backtracked on his request for players. I don't want this to be seen as basically.
We'll talk about that, I'm sure.
I'm sure Jeff slapped him on the wrists. Morale was high after that massive win at United on Monday, and it's been a bit of a busy week at Wolves. We've had Sanderson come back. We've had Ryan Giles come back. What else has happened, Dave? I swear there's other stuff that's happened.
Sanderson, Giles, Austin Samuels, loan Aberdeen's cancelled. We signed Hayo
Let's go.
Kawabi.
Yeah,
Oh,
Saudi
yeah.
Kawabi starting in.
Totti
Who we
Gomez
thought-
back.
So yeah, he's going to be the next Bareza. He's a Totti Gomez. I'm telling you now. Some
He does
player, I've
look
never
good.
seen him play.
Go
but-
easy.
He does
Mate,
look good.
we look good in the Swiss league. Fuck's sake.
Oh, fuck. I've never seen him play. I can't comment.
No, I haven't either. But we thought the new signing would potentially play on Sunday against Sheffield United. Bruno touted a strong team. He wanted to go strong into the cup, and Harry, that's exactly what he did.
Yeah, and I kind of half expected it because of how he approached the Forest and the Spurs games in the League Cup. But still, really strong. We knew Fabio would come in, we knew Ruddy would come in, but I thought Sanderson and Giles would start and things like that. But he proved me wrong, and I'm happy. And it was a really comfortable win, wasn't it? And I just love the approach he took to it, and the fact he brought Raul and Trincao on as well, second half, just to make sure. Like I think it was at 1-0 at the time that we did go on to win the game. So obviously Sheffield United had their moments, didn't they? And really refreshing to see because it's a competition I want us to go far in, obviously.
Yeah, I think with Giles and Sanderson, if they would have played for Wolves on Sunday, then they could only either go back to Birmingham or Cardiff on loan. So that's probably why they didn't play. It's a weird one though, because Sanderson was being put through his paces at half time, and it looked like he may be coming on, but decided to put Marcel there for the first half, and then Dendoncker in the back three for the second half, and switch Kilman over. Dave, I didn't fill me with much confidence.
Yeah, both back threes were a little bit shaky. I thought they're quite open in the first half, and then I don't know, for somebody that's meant to be sort of a good, I say good midfielder, but a midfielder, then Donker at times didn't look that comfortable on the ball. I think that is the three that he'd go with: Kilman, Cody, Dendoncker, for the foreseeable. But I think either of those three are going to be his options. Would have been interesting to see how he played, or where someone like Keanu Hoover would have fitted in. I know in the past he's spoken about him possibly being a centre half as well. But I think the Marcel, Kilman, Cody, or the Kilman, Cody, Dendoncker are going to be the back three for Southampton game. But yeah, I don't know what we were doing first 2 or 3 minutes. I think Aït-Nouri just blasted it across our own box. I don't know what he was doing there. And then the one chance McGoldrick had, he should have buried as well. I don't know where Cody was for that one. But yeah, clean sheet nonetheless. I think it's 7 in 9 now in all comps. That's a big record, that is. So yeah, I think for a first game, could have been better, but could have been a lot worse as well.
Yeah, I mean, Aït-Nouri blasted in the best pass Billy Sharp's had all season, probably.
Yeah,
Unbelievable cross.
I don't know how that goal got disallowed either, by the way.
We got away
Harsh.
with one there. We got away with one there. I don't know
The
what on
thing is,
earth they were looking at that for.
I don't think Paul Turney had a clue all game, to be fair to him. There was Fabio's dink over the goalkeeper. The line actually gave a goal kick, and Fabio turned around, went mad at the ref, and the ref blew the whistle, then give a corner about 20 seconds after the incident happened. But there's a few times there where he didn't know, and Wolves appeal, and he just give it Wolves' way. So I think we got quite fortunate with that, but yeah, very complete performance overall. It's good I know the atmosphere wasn't fantastic, but it was great. Great to watch.
FA Cup third round against Sheffield United. They're fantastic as well.
I've seen a lot. That's a poor amount of fans they brought, I thought. But I've seen a lot of people moaning about that. I get about the atmosphere, but also about the day trippers. But at the same time, I don't understand how you expect to gain new fans without these people coming to the ground. There were loads of tickets left, which means there were certain season ticket holders that didn't come, which again is understandable. But there were a lot of people moaning about the day trippers, and I think these are the people that a lot of them are the next generation of Wolves fans. So the club won't go anywhere without these sort of people. So
yeah, I sat in the South Bank for my sins. I thought I'd have a little change of scenery. With my knee being bad as well, I prefer being stood up, so it worked perfectly. And some of the shouts in there, man, I thought the North Bank was bad. Bloke behind me, he may even be watching his podcast, I don't know, but he couldn't remember a Yerson Mosquera was, so he's like that Colombian lad we saw in that Yerson Maracas.
Maracas.
That's brilliant.
God.
Get a t-shirt.
I have seen people moan about the day trippers, but if there's tickets left, what do you expect to not to go, or not to try and get a ticket because you can't be asked to go in the cup? People say it's a close shop at Wolves. It isn't. It's just you don't want to go and watch Burnley at home or Sheffield United in the cup. You want to go and see Liverpool. That's what it is. That's what you mean.
Yeah, I said that to my dad. I mean, to be honest, you could probably class me as a day tripper because I find it very difficult to get to the games living, with uni and stuff. I went to the game to go to, a Wolves game, so people could probably put that label on me. But obviously, it's different. I agree. I don't understand some of the stuff I see is quite funny, but I also understand that like you do need to bring in people that won't have watched Wolves for that long or don't go to that many games, to try and get a bigger fan base in. A lot of people wanted this new stadium or expansions and stuff, and then don't take up the chance to go to some of the games. I mean,
you saw. I think kids, I'd assume under 12s was like £5 or £6. You saw on the fans react, for argument's sake, we have John, the American guy. He took his son Toby. He always on to me about trying to get tickets through son Toby, and that was that Toby's first game ever at Molineux, and he managed to see a strong team, but smash 3 goals.
3 goals, yeah,
and keep a clean sheet. Like for him now, he's going to be desperate to go to as many games as he can, and that's perfect for us. So. I can't see there being many negatives to it at all, really.
Incentive there as well, because you've got Norwich in the next round, which right at the fixtures fall. I don't think it's that congested. I think it might be on the first weekend of Feb when we haven't got a game anyway. So there's a very good possibility that he's going to put a strong team out again. So again, another incentive for those people to come, and why not? Like it's the FA Cup. It's going to be. You're going to put a strong team out. Why moan about people going? Some people, like you were saying, don't bother building a new stadium if you can't sell out on an FA Cup weekend. But it's really null and void argument. You're probably not going to sell out against Sheffield United in the FA. It's not a glamour tie. Norwich isn't a glamour tie. I'll be surprised if Norwich sells out.
Could be worse. Could be. It
was more the thing of, a lot of people wanted it to be done, but then people will sometimes criticize fans for coming down that haven't gone to every game. It's like, well, you are going to get fans like that in a 45,000 seat stadium. Wolves whilst it's a one club city, I think that you would have to try and get new fans to fill 45,000. So it's one of those where I don't mind. If people want to. Come and watch us, then come and watch us. I think where my confusion maybe comes is when you get these kind of like, influencers or like entertainers that.
What about Mr. Miami? Just say his name, mate.
Yeah. No, I like Mr. Miami. Actually, I think he got quite a lot of stick for no reason, but. There was those Indian entertainers, I think, that were like went to the Man United. I think they're Man United fans or something.
I don't get the issue with that, if I'm honest. If they start taking tickets and away tickets like in bulk, then that's when I think there's an argument. But just the fact that they've had a picture in the ground
for exposure, it's good. I agree with it from a business standpoint. Yeah.
But and they ain't gonna come take a ticket. Like the Mr. Miami thing, I kind of get because he gets at least 1 or 2 away tickets most games, which I get. But the Asian influencers coming over, a couple of social posts sound.
And they've sit on their Instagram like last week. They're at the United Wolves game, and no one's saying that they're Wolves fans. It's just they've invited them down. They've had a picture of the shirts that'll go on their Instagram. Bit of brand exposure for Wolves in India or wherever their audience is that may not have known about Wolves. It's probably not cost them much. It's a win-win. No one's saying that they're going to be playing left back and centre half in the next game. But they might be. Jeff said he wanted free signings. Sorry, Bruno said. Lads, we've digressed from the Sheffield United game. But special mention to little Dan the magician, Daniel Podence and Fabio Silva, who, Harry, they were excellent, weren't they?
Really good. And I know we spoke about Fabio when he came on the United game, but brilliant. Especially Podence, 2 goals. Fabio, I know he got gifted the ball for the first one, but still good pass, isn't it?
Mate. He read that wasn't a fluke. That he
read it. But what I really liked about him as well, he worked really hard. I know it's like a very simple thing to say, but he did, and it's good to see. And it's good to see him fighting for his place, because a few games ago we were talking about Bruno's finished with him. He don't want him, he wasn't even bringing him on, was he, off the bench and things like that? But comes off the bench against United, impresses, gives him his chance in the cup, and now he's going to have Raul on his toes, isn't he? Because if he carries on putting in performances like this, he may eventually pip over Raul. You don't know, but yeah, really good performance from those two.
I mean, Raul in the first half, Raul against Everton, I thought was excellent, but to that, I think that's the best I've seen someone lead the line for Wolves this season. Granted, against Sheffield United, who are treading water in the Championship, but Dave, it was an extremely mature performance from the lad, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did a swap with you. I think I was in the North Bank, so he was sort of shooting towards my end that first half, and it was just so good to watch. And there was a lot of people around me, sort of like appreciating and sort of, eating their words. I think a little bit. They were like, "Wow, I didn't realize he was,
got a great reception as well coming off."
Yeah, so exactly. So yeah, I think he was great. And like Harry said, as daft as it sounds, he worked hard. And I think that's the one thing with footballers. I think, they can be one of the worst footballers in the world, but one of the things that football fans appreciate the most is showing that you're working hard on the pitch. So he did well, deserved a goal, could have easily had another assist, played a great ball to Adama as well. Just a little bit disappointed the last sort of 5-10 minutes of this first half, and then the majority of the second half, he quieted down a little bit. I just don't think he was picking up those pockets as much, but capitalised on those Sheffield United errors and just looked a menace, picking the ball up from deep and just not necessarily being the furthest man forward, coming deep to get the ball, and played some great knocks into Podence and Adama. And like Harry said, don't think necessarily in the next week or so, but definitely an option for Bruno, and maybe something to kick Raul up the backside as well.
Yeah, I think Raul does need a bit of competition, because at the minute, apart from the last two games, it's been easy for him and his performances have been pretty shit. Let's not lie. I know he's been asked to play a little bit of a different role, but hasn't looked at the races. But Podence was unbelievable. I'm starting to eat my words with Podence, because under Nuno, I thought he was useless, but Bruno Lage has come in and he's completely transformed the player, links the play so well. And against Sheffield United, he added that ruthlessness to his game, Tom, that we haven't seen from many players this season.
Yeah, I think the first time I touched on it was when we won 4-0 against Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup, where I think I said something along the lines of, if Podence plays consistently, I can see him being probably one of our most important, if not our most important player. And he's shown it pretty much most games he's played. There's a few where he's been sort of crowded out. But overall, I think he's been absolutely superb. I think his technical ability is just second to none. I've never seen last season. We saw it in glimpses, but just stuff like the little Cruyff turn that he did and then the ball through to Aït-Nouri. It's just like the vision and the forward thinking is something that we have kind of lacked in the side. I think that is what we wanted from Vitinha when he signed, that number 10 that can drive the ball up the pitch, finds pockets of space, sees chances before anyone else does. And granted against lower league opposition, but he was just as good against United. And you could tell that, there was a couple of shots that he did at the near post against De Gea.
Yeah.
And you obviously tell that he's cottoned on to De Gea maybe being a bit weaker at his near post. And so his decision making is a lot sharper. I think he's got over his injury really well. Second half of last season, he was atrocious, really. Struggled with
COVID as well, didn't he?
Struggled with COVID, injury issues, and I think at points attitude and confidence issues. But this season, he's just revitalised. And same thing, him and Fabio, really, really good link-up play between those two. Which again, we saw that against Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup. So there's a couple of games where they've played together now, where you can see a lot of potential there.
They really seem to get on as well. Like when they said that, I know for Podence's first goal, Podence was pointing at Fabio Silva when they wheeled off and celebrated. So it's good to see. Obviously they're getting on the pitch, and they seem to think a lot of each other. But just before we come off the Sheffield United game, good to see Nelson on the score sheet, because I thought he was excellent again, and he's got into a few dangerous positions this season and failed to capitalise on it, but a very good finish and an unbelievable run.
Yeah, great goal, as you say, great run. And At first, when he hit it, I thought it was going over, but I'm glad it went in. Because imagine the stick in the
Hard
goal.
finish, that, you know. People think it's
Yeah.
attacking, but like, it's a
But
difficult finish.
one of the most impressive things is how he got there. You know, like wing back to wing back. It was Aït-Nouri who crossed it, wasn't it? Across the across the box. So brilliant to see, and he has had his stick. And look, he don't really get too many assists and goals. I think his last goal was United winning it on the Nuno goodbye game, but he's been really good this season, I think. And I think people are like, they've got this like agenda against him a little bit, and they struggle to shake it. A lot of Wolves fans, and I know he was a lot of money as well, but for me this season he's coming into his own, and I was happy to see him score. He deserved it.
Yeah, he looks like he's starting to look like a £30 million player, isn't he, Dave?
Yeah, definitely. He was great.
Orange.
Oh no, man, I was mid-slice.
So his chocolate orange is going to be good.
No, it was great. I went with Lib, and as Aït-Nouri was running down, she was, oh my god, look how quick Semedo is. Next thing you know, the ball comes across to him and he scores.
Yeah, rapid.
I'd
like to see him open his legs out a little bit more, though, wouldn't you?
Say again, sorry.
I'd like to see him open his legs out a little bit more. That sounds horrendous.
I get what you said.
I was wondering if that was a one-liner or something.
No. Because he's very offensively, he can be very conservative and not want to take players on. But he showed against Sheffield United that pace. Like, just knock it past someone and have a go.
Yeah, I think everyone knows. Everyone knows he's quick. He's just not really had the opportunity to show it, and that was perfect. Really, he just caught them out as they were a little bit higher. Unbelievable ball by Podence, and the fact that you two wing backs are the highest players on the pitch, I think that just shows how well Bruno's, trying to implement different styles, and that was a perfect goal, really.
But that's how he wants them to play, doesn't he? He almost wants the wing backs, the inside forwards, and the centre forward to play in a line, and that was a perfect example. But in the way that we all right, Aaron.
Sorry, I just walked my camera.
The way that we know that Sheffield United tried to press the ball back, and we kind of invited it on us a little bit and sucked them in, and the space is in behind. A little bit of magic, and boom, we're away, and it's a wonderfully worked goal. And Wolves have melted it all week, haven't they? I know it's against Sheffield United, but it is a lovely goal. But Dave, FA Cup 4th round, we got Norwich at home, who are shit.
No.
Where do we go? Do we go on a cup run? Do we prioritise the league? What do we do? What do you want to see us do? Do you want to see Bruno proper go for it?
Yeah, man. Why not? Depending on when these other fixtures get rearranged for. But when we're in the Europa League next year, we've got to get used to these weekend fixtures. You know what I mean? So, I'd go for it. I think this is a winnable competition. I think Bruno said in his press conferences he doesn't want to disrespect it. And yes, there was a bit of rotation, but just purely because of our squad depth, we've got to play quite a strong team anyway. So I would go as strong as we can. Yeah, man, let's do it again. As long as I just wish for this season they could announce that the semis aren't at Wembley, because I hate Wembley, or at least I hate travelling down there.
I hate semis.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, let's go for it. Come on, Bruno.
Whoa.
Tom? It's Bruno who's taking us to Europe, but it could be that he's taking us to Europe and the final.
No, I completely agree. If you look at the situation in the Premier League, I mean, we're only 3 points off 7th, so that's a potential route. 5 points off 6th is a bit of a stretch. I think Spurs, with those games in hand, we could potentially catch up if we have a better second half of the season. But we've got the second best defensive record in the Premier League, which I think is crucial for these sorts of tournaments. We saw this in the first season when we first got promoted, how good our defence was. We used that very, very well in that run to the semi-final. And I can see it kind of feels the same this season for me personally. We don't score bucket loads, but with that second half of the season, we always seem to have this thing that clicks. Like when we first got promoted, it started drying up, and then we had the Jimenez-Jota combination. The season after that, Adama exploded. And Raul was getting on really well in the Europa League, and Jota was in form second half of the season. Last season, we didn't quite have that. But this season, it feels like we're on the cusp of something just clicking. And I think that with our defensive record, we can certainly win it. I really don't see why not. If the only team I can see us losing to at the moment is City in a cup format, because they're just unbelievably good. But any other team, I think that we on in a one-off game, we can beat anyone. And I genuinely think we've got a very, very good chance of winning it.
Can't believe we've
Having
actually
said
about winning the FA Cup after beating Sheffield United.
No,
and have
but
allowed it. And heroics with Cody clearing it off the line.
I just want us to go far so Tom Rouse can bring out another version of Buzzing A the Word.
oh yes,
Classic.
let's get an EDM remix on that. Get it
That's what I've
trending.
just searched it. You got Europa League mix.
What's happened to Tom? He's got disappeared off the face of the earth. The old gold and black for anyone who's
I still
who's-
speak
Yeah,
to
mate,
him.
he used to be a general,
Quite
innit?
bit, yeah.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend.
What's
He's all right.
Is he on Twitter? Is he watching Wolves anymore? 'Cause
He's
goes
making
to the-
music. Making music,
Yeah.
eh?
He's got season tickets still, I think. He still. I was WhatsApping the other day, actually. Yeah, he's all right. He's all good.
Tom, if you are listening or watching, make sure you drop a comment, mate. It'd be nice to hear off you. just to see if you're all right. But Harry, FA Cup, where do you see Wolves going? Out in
Hopefully all the way, mate.
You
But
reckon?
I'm happy with the draw. I want to keep getting draws like that where we're the slight favourites at home and just keep plodding
Yeah.
along. And I want revenge from the wounds that still haven't recovered from that horrible day in that semi-final against Watford. And I love that run, that cup run. I mean, the FA Cup, it has been watered down over the years, like, you know, the historic feeling of the cup, and people disrespect it a lot, especially the Premier League team. But once you get through a couple of rounds, you start to believe, don't you? And I loved it. I love that run we had under Nuno, and I'd love to go one step further. And Tom mentioned Man City there, and I still get annoyed because I still think we'd have given such a good game in that final if we would have got there. Obviously, Watford got
There's a
dipped.
very good chance, though.
I said that.
There's a very good chance, though, if we get to the final and say Man City are in the final and they beat us, we could still get Europe, couldn't we, Dave? So because
I don't know how it works anymore because you used to. I think they've changed it. You used to be able to, if you were a finalist, you would get the Europa League, but they've changed it now.
you've got to win it.
So I think it goes to the league place, but you know, you got every chance that the top 8 could still get Europe, depending on the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup winners.
Yeah.
So, who
I
knows?
would
And then you got
happily take the
Conference League as well.
conference. I'd happily take the Conference League.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Some of the away days there would be
You
so
go to
good.
Rostov away, lad.
Oh,
Nah.
That's what you want, though. You want like the
What a team
like,
in
the
Malta, mate.
unique
That would
away
make my day,
days.
that would.
Yeah.
Who
This
was
is
in
where
there?
we'll lose to Norwich now. That we're talking about. the
Yeah,
final.
we're hyping it up.
We could still finish 8th in the league. I think we could finish 8th. Well, depends on the January window, which will come on.
I think we could finish 7th. To be fair, we're not far
Yeah.
off.
Well, Villa are
Fucking hell,
going
lads.
like half the league, aren't they? So I think they're going to finish strong. They're looking
We're
a lot
slagging
better.
Bruno off this time last month.
It's mate. I was going to say this
I've
at the
backed
start of
him the whole way,
podcast.
mate.
It's every time we come on this podcast, it's polar opposites from the episode before. It's absolutely, it's unbelievable how fickle football fans are, including myself,
Fickle.
and like how much a win can change like morale.
I agree.
God, with all the backlash on Twitter and that after that Percy article, these two results have just calmed everyone down, hasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
everyone's happy
Which one
again.
was this
now.
again?
That
the
John Percy
transfers.
article.
Oh,
yeah,
nice one, Jeff.
everyone's
Yeah.
going mad, and then we beat Man United, beat Sheffield United quite comfortably, and everyone's
And
on
they
cloud nine
squeezed
again.
in that. They squeezed in that Scott Sellers interview after the United
Yeah.
win. I saw that was good. It was good thinking. That was good.
Let's talk about that article they released, Dave. I don't think it was that bad. It confirmed what we already knew. It's the communication that we've wanted for so long. But because it wasn't the message that Wolves fans wanted, it was, fuck them, it's a load of bollocks.
Yeah, I think when it was on the Tuesday, wasn't it? So when we were on the way to United, I know we were in the car just talking about sometimes you just want a bit more transparency from the club.
Yeah.
So when that came out, I saw it dropped. There are articles sometimes where I see it and I don't actually read it until quite later, or if about 3 people send it me. Like, have you read this yet? So I think you sent it to me, man. I thought I'll get you get ready for the backlash, and I read it, and it was what I expected. I knew Wolves weren't going to make big signings. It's what we already knew, but at the same time, it wasn't ruling out anything, any transfers at the same time. So I got it, and to be fair, I think I put a tweet out about it, and most people agreed. But you ain't I think you said to me, Matt, you ain't going to get Scott Sellers say, right, lads, we want to come out this summer and we want to sign 3 top world-class players. Because every time you go to a club, they're like, "Oh, you want a top player, so we want £10 million more off you." Look at what's happening to Newcastle now. They were talking
Still
about,
hilarious.
these top European talents, and now they're signing Chris Wood. So it's what happens. Everyone knows they've got money.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think the conservative approach works in terms of in the press. A conservative approach always works, and a few people who maybe follow me on Twitter know I've been in some senses maybe outspoken. I don't know. I've always been quite for Fosun or against Fosun, particularly the summer window. I wasn't happy whatsoever.
I think fickle's the word you're looking for, Tom.
Yeah, fickle. But I'm fickle, I think, but I'm fair though. I am fair, and when the article came out, I read it, and to be honest, I didn't really see anything wrong with it because we know that money is potentially an issue. We don't know for sure, but what we wanted as fans was communication. And in the summer, yes, Ask Wolves has been brought up a lot as being hypocritical or so on and so forth, but we did get communication, however edited or maybe, it was, but we've had communication on this window as well. So as long as they're upfront and honest, I can stomach what happens. My only issue would ever be if they say that they're going to spend 100 million and they don't spend anything. That would be when I would get annoyed. Yes, it's disappointing having a lack of spending, but if you've got good players out on loan, what's the point of blowing 25, 30 million pound on someone when you've got, good, exciting young prospects? That's their logic. They're a business company, they're an investment company. They're going to see it as we've already got assets that have value that can come into the team and do well. And we already know that they want to promote young players. So in their view, it's like, well, why should we spend 30, 35, 40 million on a centre-back when we've got Dion Sanderson, who's young, he's got experience in the Football League, he's had rave reviews at every club he's been at. We'll bring him back. If we need to use him, we can. And that way we don't have to spend money.
It is smart, and it is smart because that's how that's how you run a business with your head. And I think a lot of Wolves fans are thinking with the heart. Like we want the best and we want it now, but it's difficult.
Football can't be run as a business sometimes. I think that's the issue.
Not many football clubs make money though, anyway.
Yeah, football is so volatile in a business sense. You can't predict what's going to happen. You could have a player that's £50 million gets injured for a year and his value drops by half. It's not a predictable market. Markets aren't predictable in football because it's so spontaneous. So the issue with football is that you can't treat it as a solid business that you can say, right, we make this turnover this year, we have this value in assets, because it fluctuates every year. Max Kilman, his value last year was what we're talking about, selling him for $2.5 million. This season, if he continues to have the season he has, his value is at least 20 because he's English, he's young, and he's left
45, 50 million pound player.
Yeah, so this is the thing. You look at Kilman as an example, Pedro Goncalves and Vitinha, two young players that haven't had the chance. And people have been fuming that, Goncalves in particular didn't get a go. We're now hopefully going to give young players a go. So we don't miss out on, a Goncalves again. Giles is a strange one for me. I don't really know where he's going to play. And obviously, I think you posted on Twitter, Talking Wolves, a rumour that he's potentially going to be loaned out again. So for me, that's a strange one.
There's quite a few clubs looking at him. But Bruno's also said, like, he can play left wing. And Dave said that to me. I was like, I wouldn't want him left wing. But he seems quite confident, does he, Bruno, that he could play there? But I don't know if he just
he got good delivery on him. I think the thing is, and I agree with the points that you've made. I think the thing is, and that other fans need to realise, you can't just spend money for the sake of it. Like I've said earlier, there's some dreadful deals or some, dreadful business going on. Although, I do agree with some fans that we probably should squeeze a bit more for Adama, who's valued at, apparently about 20 million. The club have said for a long time, I say long time, the last year or so, they're going to be sell to buy. Have we had, bar Jota, I don't think we've had, we've been very, very lucky with the players that have stayed at this club so far. So I think, and like, we need to spend this, we need to improve this. Yeah, fair enough. But if you spend £30 million on a centre half, who do you drop out of the back three? Says, Cody and Kilman have all been
been
fantastic. You've just
superb,
spent
yeah.
30 million pound on somebody that's going to upset the harmony in the squad.
Mm.
Oh, let's spend 30 million on a striker. Who are you going to take out? You're going to upset Fabio Silva, have to send him out on loan to a club and it's not going to work. Your best ever Premier League goal scorer, Jimenez, out the team. You know, you got to think about the harmony and morale side of things as well. And I think we're in a good place at the moment without having to spend a fortune. I agree the depth needs some work in one or two areas, but you're not going to be able to sign somebody just for the sake of it.
I think some people, sorry, Matt, I think some people are worried that if we don't show this mad ambition that the likes like Ruben Neves is just going to want to leave. I think that's in the back of people's minds. But like you say, they're not going to spend for no reason.
I get that.
I think Neves will know as he's a professional footballer that January's traditionally a seller's market, and we aren't.
Yeah.
Now isn't the time to go and do the business that we want in terms of if we go sign a central midfielder now and we don't get rid of anyone, it's going to be some, I don't know. It'll be Bruno Jourdain-esque. It'll be that ability. It's not going to be someone who comes in and strengthens.
John Swift from Reading.
Yeah.
Watch
on a centre half, it's going to be
What
like
a player.
Rob Dickey from QPR. It's going to be someone like that, and I quite like Dickey.
Good player.
Yeah.
Player.
But I get fans' frustrations, and it all stems from the "we want to be as big as Man City" comments that it just comes to bite Jeff on the arse time after time after time, and he has clarified those comments since, but the statement was it was all much of a muchness, wasn't it? It was just like, well, thanks for telling us what we already know. And Fosun have been criticised for their decisions, but like Dave said, in terms of outgoings, we haven't had one of our key players sold from under our nose. The Jota one, everyone's like at the time, that's fine because he's gone on to Liverpool and absolutely smashed it. It's like, oh, we sold Jota for 40 million, replacing with Silva for 35. But that's not what we did. You can't look at it like that. That's like saying I've just sold my car and I've done the weekly shop and I've made 15 grand profit off the weekly shop. That's not what's happened. Like it's not a like for like replacement. You can't look at it like that. But I think I think it's gonna be a busy window, and I think it's gonna be more outgoings than incomings. But we'll touch on this quickly before we get into the quiz. But Harry, Adama Traore, what? I'm sick of it already. It's 11th of Jan, and I'm sick of the saga. Just get him gone.
I personally want to keep him, but I know that's quite an unpopular opinion. Although he's got zero stats in terms of assists and goals, and that he come on against United and look, he was really involved in the goal. He crossed the ball in, I guess. And I know he's frustrating. I think 20 million's really cheap, but I know his contract's running down, and I know he wants to get paid more. So in terms of that, if he's going to keep kicking up a fuss, then maybe it is the right thing to do. But I want to keep him personally, and I hope they can sort it and get him to sign a contract because he's something different. He's a unique player. He offers things differently. I know he was terrible against Sheffield United. He was so frustrating at times, and that's just him in a nutshell. But then, on the other hand, he comes on against United and crosses the ball in that pretty much sets up the goal. So
it was a poor cross that was headed out. I mean,
but
I know
he still caused problems. He come on and
changed
changed the game, didn't he? He come on and changed the game at the end of the day. He's better than Trincao, in my opinion. I don't know.
I've stuck up.
Explosive than Trincao. Sorry, Tom. He's more explosive than Trincao, and he gives you another dynamic that no other player will. Well, no other player apart from the likes of Maximum or someone like Doku who would give you that dynamic, but he doesn't want to. He wants to be here, but he wants to be one of the highest earners. Now, unfortunately, you cannot be one of the highest earners at a club that includes Neves, Moutinho, Jose Sarr, when you can't even half the time kick a football. I'm sorry. I love the bloke. I absolutely adore the bloke, and I'll be gutted when he goes. But what kind of message does that send to Neves when Adama's earning more money than you? How can you be the highest earner when you can't even start for the club? Because he hasn't been starting, he doesn't fit into the system. If we change manager and we play out and out wingers, I see the argument, but we don't. So it just
if he goes as well, say he does upgrade a little slightly, he's just going to be an impact player wherever he goes, isn't he? He's probably he's not going to be a star.
That's all he'll ever be. That's all he'll ever be. I mean, Conte's talking, talk about Conte converting into a win back as an impact win back. All Spurs fans I've seen have not said, yes, we're going to get so much product from this right hand side. What they've said is this will be brilliant for Son and Kane because he'll drag players out and that frees up space for Sonic Kane. So for their system, it'll work. But I agree with what Matt said. There were so many times against Sheffield United where he could have made a run into space like Semedo did for the second goal, and he just didn't do it. He just stood there. I'll same as Matt. Absolutely love him. In the summer, I was adamant we shouldn't have sold him, and I said that we'd have no ambition if we were to sell him. However, if we can sell him and get a player similar to Podence for the right-hand side, you would then say, okay, we've got wingers with better technical ability, and an end product of sorts. If we could have two Daniel Podences either side, that's a lot more effective than a
Neto's
Podence
coming
and
back
an
soon
Adama.
though, so
Neto's coming back. Yeah,
he'll play on the right, won't he? If I say to you now, lads, Adama goes for 20 million, and we sign Goncalo Guedes on a season on a loan to the end of the season with an option to buy, what do you say?
I've got no idea who that is, so I'll say keep Traore.
It looks like Guedes. He plays for Valencia. He's a right-footed winger, very good, similar to Trincao, probably a little bit more explosive.
Who's the geezer from Barca who's linked with as well? Like a swap deal?
No, Ousmane Dembele.
Ousmane Dembele.
That is the most
Exactly,
ridiculous
Is that
rumour
ridiculous?
I've ever seen. He's on about 400 grand a week,
But if
and he's crocked as well.
If we sell
do
Adama, in my head, I'm thinking we're going to get a midfielder in with that money, not another winger with the likes of Neto and that to come back. But I don't know.
What do you reckon, Dave? Would you take that?
Yeah, I would take that as long as we invest in one other position, probably centre mid or centre half.
Would you take that as a replacement for Adama? Give us a lot more balance, Tom.
Yeah, 100%. I think I think it'd be a good deal, and like Dave says, I think if we get him on a loan, conserve some of that money for the summer, and then spend the money directly on someone in midfield, I think that would be a very, very good bit of business. We have to do it.
I think
If he is going, why did he play in the cup if he's going to Spurs?
Cup tied.
Yeah, but like, wouldn't they not want it to be cup tied? Just
Probably
they've
not
not
close,
formally
no.
put a bid together, have they? So they can't be
I don't know.
dictating. But I think we're all in agreement, lads. If he does go, we have to spend that money. We're not in a position where if he does go, we bank that cash because Jeff will be handed out of Wolverhampton.
Yeah.
Imagine the fume. But
sometimes you just have to do it for the benefit of the team. You just have to sell these players. He's a depreciating asset. You've got to cash in when he's he's not going to sign this deal now. I think he wants.
People keep saying we'll lose money on him, but you've got 3 or 4 years service out of him, so you're not losing money at all.
Yeah,
Tom, you said that when there was rumours that it was going to go in the summer and that the club lacked ambition. How does it make you feel that Wolves had agreed a loan deal with Spurs to go during the summer window?
I can't. When I read that, I could not believe that. That is honestly for a business company, they have some very strange.
Must have been a fat obligation or loan fee on that.
Yeah, they must have had like a big obligation to buy because it can't have been an option. There's no way you would have I would not get my head around loaning one of your best players at the time to we could say a competitor for no money for them to maybe at the end of the season say you can have him back. He's got a year less on his contract and we've got virtually no money for it. Do you know what I mean? It would just, it's just, I just can't believe that they actually agreed that from a business standpoint. It just doesn't make any sense.
No, one thing we won't accept is him going on deadline day and the club saying we haven't got a chance to bring in someone else.
Oh yeah, well exactly. That's the concern.
Right, lads, we're like 50 minutes through the podcast and we're going to go to the quiz, then questions. So I've got 6 questions here about
see you in a bit, lads.
It's the first podcast of the year. You got to make it a bumper one. Come on.
About the Premier League season. So there's 6 questions. I'm going to ask the question and then I'm going to ask you for your answers, but we'll go in one order, then the other order, so you can't cheat. So according to who scored, and I'll start with you first, Dave, and then I'll go to Harry, then Tom. According to who scored, who's got the highest average rating for us in the Premier League this season?
In the Wolves squad, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Romain Saiss.
Romain Saiss. Harry, who are you going to say?
Jose Sarr.
Tom?
Yeah, it's definitely between those two, but I have seen Saiss in quite a few team of the weeks, so I'm going to go for Saiss.
Well, you're all wrong, chaps.
Neves.
Hey, come on!
It
Is
was
it
actually
Kilman?
Leander Den. Don't know. He wasn't. It was.
You shitted me.
It was.
What
It's
is
Ryan
that?
Nouri, an average rating of 7.12.
Wow.
To be fair,
closely-
yeah, that's probably about right.
Closely,
been
I
good.
mean, he's obviously played less games. Closely followed by Saiss, 7.02, and then Adama Traore, 6.96.
No
Keep
way.
him.
God.
Keep him.
Hey,
No,
what do you do,
no,
Sean?
no, no. Well, how do they rate goalkeepers? Come on. Saul's got
Jeff, you've decided to
he's
keep
conceded-
Adama Traore. Why was that? No, he's actually our third best player.
On who
Look at the
scored,
stats.
His
Yeah.
expected
He's got-
non-penalty goals is through the roof. Yeah.
Well, he's in the top 1% for his save percentage. How is he not? Come on.
Jose
That's
Sarr,
ridiculous.
6.87. Adama's got the most man of the match. He's
That's shocking. That.
Yeah, that is. Right then, Harry, who has the highest pass completion this season for Wolves in the Premier League?
I was going to go like try and be clever and say like Cody or someone, but I'm going to go obvious and say Neves.
Tom?
Cody.
Oh God, I probably should have gone
Dave?
with that.
I was going to say Cody as well.
The answer was Connor Cody, 88.4%.
Yes.
Yeah.
I should have stuck my
Sideways
guns.
passer FC. Let's go.
Thomas, who has had the most minutes in the Premier League this season for Wolverhampton Wanderers?
Saw.
Dave?
Sarr as well, yeah.
Harry?
Sarr and Cody, wouldn't it? But I'll go Sarr. I don't want to go different. Yeah.
It's actually two players you could have had. One of them is Max Kilman, 1,710 minutes, and the other one is Jose Sarr.
Bosh.
Did Cody get subbed off one of
Bosh.
them games then? Oh, it was like Brentford or something innit, when he went for it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I was
It
thinking
was
of
very
it.
close.
Yeah. Gung ho, Bruno.
Start with you, Dave, this time. And now this one's a bit of a tricky one. Who has the highest expected goals per 90 for Wolves this season in the Premier League? So this could be someone who's got into loads of good chances but played 3 games.
I'm going to go Trincao.
That's a good shout. That is a good shout.
Tom?
I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Go on, Harry.
There's
Go on, Harry.
there's a
Go on, Harry.
yeah. Go Harry first.
I'm going this one just because I saw goals to game like stat. I'm gonna go Kwang.
Ooh.
Tom?
Okay. It's just tough. We got there's. I think there's quite a few candidates for this, considering how shit our finishing is. I would have gone out of Adama and Semedo.
Oh yeah, Semedo.
I'm gonna go with Semedo.
Oh, yeah? Dave, you
No.
absolutely nailed it, mate.
Yeah.
Francisco
Trincao, yes.
Trincao.
I don't think it would have been Semedo. He played a
Great
lot of
shout.
minutes. And he
Zero-
only had the chances first,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
0.28 expected goals per 90. Closely followed by Raul Jimenez on 0.20. Then Huang. And then Adama Traore with Podence on 0.16. Nelson Semedo
stinker
is
there.
well down the list.
yeah, I was going to
Well
say,
done.
he's played a lot of minutes and he only really
Yeah.
had the big chances early on in the season,
I
didn't he?
didn't think of Raul. Yeah, Raul's quite an obvious one to say, isn't it?
Trinco's a good shout though, because that's the one thing that
He
everyone's
missed
been getting on his
sitters.
back about, hasn't
I
it?
just
Couldn't finish his
remembered
dinner.
all the
Missing
stats from the
sitters.
start of the season. He had a ridiculous XG to goal ratio.
Yeah. Right then. The next 2 questions. Harry. Who has won the most tackles for Wolves this season?
I'll go with Sace.
Dave?
This one's hard because I saw tackles per 91 and Ain't Nori was top in the league,
Ooh.
but he hadn't played a huge amount of games.
45
I'm gonna
of
go-
them with Mo Salah.
I'm going to go Semedo.
Tom?
That's a good one.
Again, it's just tough because I think Neves and Matinho could be up there as well because they're
Oh, shout
defensively
out to 'em.
really good. They're very good at winning the ball back. So
Oh,
I don't know. Oh man, do you know what? I'm gonna go.
3,
I'm gonna
2,
go different. I'm
1.
gonna go Neves.
I think
I
it's
think-
Neves.
I think it's Neves actually. No, you said
No,
that.
you've said that. Yeah.
So there's 2 players it could have been.
Oh,
One
man.
of them is Joao Moutinho,
Oh no!
Yeah.
and the other player, equal with 40 tackles, is Nelson Semedo.
Oh, Dave's on fire.
No, I went
Oh,
for the
get
wrong
in there.
one. I went for the wrong one. I was so
Nelson
close.
Semedo. I like that.
Oh,
Nelson Semedo for Uga Heights.
Nelson Semedo.
J.R.
Fuming. I can't believe that. Oh, man.
Well, okay. Right then,
50-50
final, mate,
chance you
I'm
got to
gonna
play.
bring this back for the next pod because this is like taking it to the next level. I'm gonna have to get some obscure stats. Final question for this week's quiz, this month's quiz probably, because it might not be the next one. We'll start with you first, Tom.
Oh, no.
Who has
Okay.
been fouled the most per 90 for Wolves this season?
It's got.
It's got to be.
I was thinking of Adama because he just gets hacked down all the time, but I don't know.
Well, if you're saying Adama, I'm gonna have to take your first answer, mate.
Yeah, I'll have to go with Adama. First answer. Go on.
Harry.
I'm going Raul this time. I think Raul is better. Yeah. Raul.
Could
David?
be any of the front three.
Oh, I would have said Adama. I'll go with Adama. But I've got a feeling it could be Podence. But my answer
Podence. Yeah, you Podence.
Podence.
It's none of those.
Oh,
It's
is it Kilman?
It's actually Huang Hee-chan.
To be honest, I forgot he played for us.
1.4 per 90.
Bloody hell. Have
Which
you ever had a
was
top
classic.
goal scorer that's
Don't
like
seem that
so
high.
easy to forget about that?
No, it doesn't seem that high at all, does it? But
I suppose Adama's had a few cameos where he's played 10 minutes and not even touched the ball. So
That's what I mean. Yeah, that was the only thing that was like I was umming and ahhing about. Right.
yeah.
Oh well.
Should we do one more?
Yeah, go on.
as long as I've got a good cushion. Yeah.
So
Bloody.
cool. So we'll do one more. Who, and this is actually a tremendous one. Who has got, Dave, the highest expected assists for Wolves this season?
Oh, I think I know
Expected assists.
Yeah.
Jimenez.
Harry?
I'm going to go Semedo.
Tom?
this. Trinco.
Everyone's different.
So there's actually 4 on the same.
Oh, wow.
On the same, which is 1.7 expected assists, which is pathetic considering how far we are through the season. But how many goals we scored? Like 16, something like that.
14.
So you could have had Joao Moutinho, you could have had Daniel Podence, you could have had Adama Traore, and of course you could have had Raul Jimenez.
God,
Dave's absolutely smashed this.
He's killed it.
He knows ball. He knows ball.
He does no ball, yeah.
He does not miss.
Oh man,
Who scored
I
knots?
remember watching it on a video. I thought it was Trinco. Yeah, bloody, what a stinker.
You enjoy that, lads.
Yeah,
Very
I need to
good,
change the
very good.
boxes though.
Harry, you did well there, mate. Well,
Is that
get
sarcastic? I don't think I got one, did I?
you managed to name 7 Wolves players.
Yeah. I made a player. That's the success.
Oh, brilliant.
Oh, superb stuff. Right, lads, let's get on to the questions time. Questions this time. We've had quite a few come through on Twitter, so thanks for those who have sent in the questions. We start with Sam Beacon, contributor to Talking Wolves.
Legend.
Legend. So he's asked, can you see Brunelage's tenure lasting longer than Nuno's on his current trajectory as head coach? So Nuno is with us, what, 4 years?
3.5? No, 4, yeah.
4 years.
I think
Dave?
I think it's hard to answer that because we saw how quick things got sour under Nuno because he had 3 years and like this time 18 months ago Nuno was untouchable whereas very quickly it turned sour, so it's hard to answer that. I think he's doing things right at the moment, but it's only 6 or 7 months in. He's got a long way to go before I'll be able to comfortably answer that question. I think
very political
answer.
Yeah,
Mel
very
Eves,
diplomatic. Very.
Got to go, Franksy.
Harry?
I'm just going to say yes, purely because he's done much better than I thought he was going to do when he came in. So I'm going to say he's going to continue doing really well and last a year longer. I'm going to be Pacific. Be gone after 5 years.
Be Pacific or specific?
Specific. Sorry.
I thought that was supposed to be a reference or something.
No, I just can't speak, Tom.
Being very Atlantic, Tom, can you see him lasting longer than Nuno?
I would say that the future is a passage of time with many paths, and we can't predict what will happen.
I'll put you down as a maybe then.
Like one of the motivational quotes.
Yeah, that's like a
I got
Gary
it straight off Tumblr.
And this one's from Casey Burns. I'll start with you, Harry. With Neves entering the last 2 years of his contract in the summer, Adama in the last year, and with Moutinho, Sace, Marcel, and Ruddy all out of contract in the summer, how do you see the squad changing between now and the start of next season?
I think a lot of them are renew, to be honest.
Jose Sa was pushing for it on Instagram last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. That was
Yeah,
great
he
comment,
was, yeah.
that was. But maybe the only one that might be gone is Neves, if someone comes in and buys him for a ridiculous amount of money. But yeah, I think the majority of them will sign a new deal.
Mm.
David?
And obviously Adama might go.
I don't know. I think the squad, it'll be interesting regarding the expiring contract players because you've got Ruddy, Marcel. Those two I'm unsure about. I think Sace and Moutinho, you've got to give at least another year to.
You have to.
Sace is good enough. You know, the Wars would be daft not to offer him a contract, but in his own head, he might think, you know what, I could have another couple of years at the top in France. You know, my family might be a little bit more comfortable and so on. But he's good enough he deserves a contract, even if he's going to be a squad player for the next year or two, at the very least. So I'd give Moutinho and say his contracts for sure.
And Sarkic has replaced Ruddy as number 2.
Yeah, or even me. See how I get on at
You're
Molineux
right, to be
this summer.
fair, yeah, he's done well at Molineux. But
Thing
to be
is-
fair, in recent times, you've done better than John Ruddy at Molineux.
Oh, yes. I think 90 minutes, 7 goals conceded. Not too bad, to be fair.
That's all right. you had a poor defence in front of you, though, didn't you? So.
Oh, my God. Not existent.
Chuck me in there, I'll sort the line.
Respect Tom Rouse. He was fantastic. There's a lot of comments about the back back five, sorry. With Dendoncker and Marcel. A lot of people are saying, such as Daniel Lever and Mark Davis. Not the Mark Davis he used to play for.
I was going to say.
Do you feel that it's probably best to play Sanderson there with Marcel and Dendoncker looking pretty out of sorts in the game against Sheffield United? My personal opinion on that is I would play Sanderson purely because he's the most match ready at centre half out of all of them. He's been playing centre half week in, week out. Different system, granted, different league, but then Donker looks clunky in centre mid and centre half. Marcel didn't feel confident. My personal opinion is chuck him in for the next few games, see how he gets on. If he doesn't perform, say he's come back, send him back to Birmingham. What about you, Dave?
I don't know, though. I get it, but I don't think it'll happen. Only because if Dion was going to be part of the back three, he would have played at least 45 minutes on Sunday, and it didn't happen. So I think, put my personal opinion, not that I'm not saying if it's the right or wrong one, but I think it's going to be Donk.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, I want Sanderson in, to be honest. I'm just not... Dendoncker and his 15 goals, he's let me down, to be honest. So... yeah, he just looks so shaky. I can't believe it looked good for us in his first season, but
how many goals did you have him down to score this season?
50.
You might get 15 own goals now, so you're going the wrong end.
We've only scored 14 as a team.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I didn't realise we were going to score so little goals. I thought we were going to be attacking, but I would much rather see Sanderson play. I just don't trust Dendoncker in centre mid or centre half, and I don't trust Marcel at centre half. He's a maniac. So, and if we play Sanderson, we've got an all English back three, which is pretty good. Pretty good going for a team full of 4 Portuguese players.
A good question here from Tom McGill, and I really like this one. Harry, if you could put Bruno in charge of any match from Nuno's reign, what game would it be and why? I know exactly which game.
The FA Cup semi-final, because I don't think Bruno had brought Jota off and through the game.
Yeah.
There we go.
Dave?
Sevilla Europa League. To be different.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah, it's out of those. I would say the semi-final because I think under Bruno Lage we could have won in the final as well.
I'd say Chelsea last game of the season, in the Europa League season.
Oh, man.
Because all we needed was a point.
Ooh,
and
yeah.
if there's one thing that Wolves don't do under Bruno Lage, it's concede. And that would have got us into Europe.
I like it.
All we needed was a point, really.
Yeah.
We balled it.
All we
Bloody
needed
hell, I
was
forgot.
a point, and he would just...
Forgot about that.
Even the Burnley game, mate, I'd have put him in charge.
Oh,
Sheffield
no,
United.
but to be fair, Burnley that was a poor officiating decision, though. That wasn't like...
No, it was Doherty having no bollocks as usual. That's what it was.
Lee Evans did that years ago as well. Third round of the FA Cup against Fulham. Yeah,
the
it's
comedian.
went like,
I remember.
The comedian.
Bloody hell. Honestly, no. I was like 14-year-old me was absolutely raging at Lee Evans.
It was
for the
part of
next,
his
like,
Roadrunner
few
tour,
weeks.
mate, that was. Part of his Roadrunner tour.
Yeah.
No, remember that? We batted a ball game. Ross
Yeah.
Nickelback got a free kick, edge of the box,
In
blasted
last
it at the
minute.
wall, and Lee Evans just did that, and they won a penalty. Yeah.
Oh.
Fuming. I was sat in the snow for 120
Oh.
minutes watching that. All
Dave
for that.
Edwards.
And then lost on penalties.
A couple more questions.
Yeah, you brought back bad memories with that.
A couple more questions. We've got one off the 5-Star Potential podcast. I don't know who that is, Dave.
Jeez. Yeah.
Have you
One
seen
of
that in
them.
yourself?
Nah, mate. I think it was Joe, out of all people, probably.
Because the question is, how gorgeous is Dave as a party? That's
Oh.
so you definitely no, it's not.
Nah.
I thought they
Um,
reviewed restaurants.
So if you could,
That's N-Cuba Bites.
right. If you could only sign one player this window and money wasn't an issue, who would it be, Dave?
Are we going realistic, like people that would actually join? Or just anyone?
Well, it says money's not an issue, so I suppose you could convince anyone to join if you're paying like £5 million a week. But let's go realistic.
Coutinho.
Literally just go for the Villa.
Renato.
I'm joking.
A bit boring, sorry.
It's a good
Or
player,
Kiefer
though.
Moore.
He's
Kiefer
a good
Moore.
player. How do you like it? How do you like it?
Who did you say, Tom?
I would Emmanuel Dennis from Watford. What a player!
So you had all the players in the world and all the money, and you chose Emmanuel Dennis.
Okay, for Mbappe then.
No, but obviously he's not gonna join, is he?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Sanchez. Yeah, because it's so boring. But that dynamic midfielder, that team would be so. Never's Sanchez midfield pair would just be like ridiculous. But Emmanuel Dennis is a good shout. I'm not saying it's not a favourite name, but he's got like what is it, 8 goals in a pretty poor
Yeah, but
Watford side.
like money's not an issue, and he's probably going to.
I'll go,
25 million quid.
I'll throw a
Josh
name out there
King,
for you.
Harry.
I'm going to go Jesse Lingard.
Okay, fair enough.
Who we got on this podcast?
It's a good thing we're not on the board, isn't it? Bloody hell! Yeah.
I've got
That's
a name for you.
realistic, isn't it? Is that realistic?
Why not?
Renato
like it.
Sanchez final.
Yeah, but you've got all the money in the world. He's available on the free in the summer. Like,
All right,
Oh my
CR7,
goodness.
Cristiano Ronaldo. There we go.
if we're talking,
this is ridiculous.
if we're talking, if we're talking players who are available on the free in the summer,
It's like the 2-star podcast.
I'd be looking at Zachariah at Mönchengladbach, the midfielder.
He's going on a free. Got all the money in the
That's
world.
what he just said.
Which is what I just said. Your helmet.
Oh, sorry, I zoned out. I zoned out. I was too busy thinking. I said I was
And then you'd be like Divock Origi or Jesse Lingard or any of those. Anyway,
I've got a name for you.
Do you know?
Roberto Martinez.
You made that legged? Yeah.
Honestly, I'd love for us to sign like your Origis, Lingard, get like the kind of the just
I
get
said
them all
realistic
in.
in my head
Let's
when I said that. Sorry, I didn't really
get these
think you
big
meant-
names, get these big names in. Just give them.
Tommy's a
honestly,
Yadar.
Phil
That's what he's
Jones
coming
next.
out here.
Phil Jones next.
We need some proper
Phil Jones.
Premier League
Proper
experience.
Premier League players.
Grant Hanlon.
Let's get Phil Jagielka.
Is Chris Samba still playing?
Oh,
Like,
mate,
dude,
Samba.
Chris
Okay.
Samba, get him in defence, mate. He's an absolute tank.
He's a
I
horrific
think that's enough shouts anyway for me to want to win the podcast. Really good one today, chaps. Enjoyed that. Hopefully, those playing along with the quiz at home, and let us know in the comments or tweeting us how well you did on that. Did you do as well as Dave, or did you just take part like Harry? Let us know. Let us know in the comments. But Dave, where can people find you should they wish?
At Dave Azzopardi, DAVEAZZOPARDI on Twitter.
Tom, where can people find you?
Yeah, Twitter as well. Tom_Parker12.
Harry, remember it's an underscore. Where can people find you? And the 77 Club.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure covering Finn. I hope you've had a nice holiday, mate. Harry
Cheers,
_ Mansell, Twitter, the Wall 77 Club, Twitter, YouTube, all that jazz. Lovely.
Yeah, Finn is on his fourth holiday of the calendar year already. He's gone. Where's he gone? Somewhere.
Just loving it.
Maldives,
Loving life,
mate. Living life.
Jeez.
I feel like Den Donker of the Talking Wolves podcast. I'll just come in for like the stars every now and then.
John Ruddy here.
Cover.
Shouts really loud. And I'm M Cooper Writes on Twitter and Matt Cooper Bites on Twitter and YouTube. You also may have seen the past couple of weeks that we've partnered with BBC Sport, so we're writing articles for those guys on guys talking about them, a couple of fellas down the road. We're writing for BBC Sport every week now. So Dave had an article out last week. I've had one out this week about Adama Traore, so they'll be coming every week. So make sure you look out for those. But in Talking Wolves podcast tradition, Dave, would you like to sign off the show?
Yeah, sure. I believe now, by the way, guys, if you listen on Spotify, as long as your app is up to date, because mine wasn't, you can rate the podcast. So if you listen on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave us a 5-star review. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's bye from me, and say goodbye, everyone else.
Goodbye, everyone else.
And
Bye, everyone.
if there's enough demand, we'll do another deadline day live on the 31st. If there's enough
You
demand,
best
so
hope
let
that
us
we
know
don't
if you want
sign
that.
anyone.
Let us know if you want that, and we'll happily oblige. But until next time, guys, thank you. Take care
Cheers, guys.
and enjoy yourselves.